Obviously, we need to talk about Acorn. The video that surfaced in the middle of last week showing a young lady dressed up like a hooker with her supposed pimp. That's what real journalism is, and that's something that citizens can all do, especially in the age of YouTube, in the age of internet video. That's what I started doing in the mid-1990s with Access Television, self-taught. And I would go out and cover stories in Austin, Texas, and really cover government corruption, and then it would end up in the newspaper. It would end up being discussed at city council. Mainly, I would show how the city would put $2,000 a day fines on elderly people's houses for peeling paint or 3-inch grass, and then they would steal the home through government auction and basically fence it through and sell it to friends of the city council or the county commissioners. Or I would cover stories about how the public schools were headhunting for blonde-haired, blue-eyed children. We've since had senators and congressmen on covering the fact that there are bounties on your children, and they even put out alerts for certain types of children that adoption agencies are looking for. A rich family may want, a 3-year-old brunette girl with blue eyes or green eyes, and the order goes out. The pedophile operators then fan out. Now, I know that's hard for people to believe, but that's government. That's who's in government. That's who runs government. And it didn't matter what Acorn office the researchers, the investigators went into with their cheap hidden camera. They'd walk in and say, we got 12-year-old girls we're bringing in to run hooker operations. They're illegal aliens. It's totally criminal. I don't want to pay any taxes. And they'd say, well, we can handle that for you. We've got a system for you right now. And that's what runs America. That is what America is. Overweight, pot-bellied, diseased people who eat nothing but MSG and drink nothing but corn syrup all day, who take mercury-filled shots, dirty, hair sticking out, zits all over their faces. Doesn't matter if they're black, doesn't matter if they're white, doesn't matter if they're Hispanic. Just all they want is money. And overall, though, this whole Acorn report is a distraction and a diversion. I mean, I welcome it because I want to stop the big city pimp machine, the big city poverty pimp machine that is the Chicago/New York machine that is taking over all the major cities in the country. And I want to stop Acorn. I want to stop Secure Core and City Year and all these systems where private tax-free foundations get billions of dollars a year of taxpayer money. And then these big government types on the right and the left, but mainly the left, they wrote the book on it, go in and get filthy rich and wealthy off of it. All these so-called, philanthropists, all these humanitarians like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they're one of the biggest players in Chicago in housing and homeless and anti-drug programs and sterilization, vaccination. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation goes out and gets thousands and thousands of big government grants per major city every year, and it makes money. You understand that? The Annenberg Foundation, the Ford Foundation, the Rockefeller Foundation. This is a big, sick joke. They started 100-plus years ago, all the phony environmental foundations, and bragged it was about owning property tax-free and taking people's property. This is the mafia. Period. And they have found that if they come after you, they have found that if they come after you, under the guise of the government or in the guise of a uniform, you'll resist it and demand due process and your rights. But if they come as an environmental group or they come as a city group, they come as some type of diversity organization, they come in the name of the community, that they can basically get away with murder. If they want to, and they do. They do in a big way. If you're really concerned about tax-free foundation corruption, why don't you talk about the bipartisan heist of $23.7 trillion and counting? The $23.7 trillion, it's probably more than $28 trillion now. That number we're going over is a couple months old. Why don't you worry about that? I mean, you're worried about billions of dollars going to Acorn. But see, Acorn is a convenient, low-level, kind of upstart Illinois/Louisiana, old-school, big-city corruption group trying to go national, trying to go international. And so you've got the bigger pimps basically slapping them down, but also giving conservative mainline America a bone. Oh, look, we've got this big city corrupt machine situation, and look, these women are bragging that, yeah, they used to be hooker madams too, and they had their husbands killed, and yeah, they're gangster too. Because they are. But let me tell you who the real social workers are. Let me tell you who the real Acorn is. Do you know where they recruit most of the CPS workers now? Most of the CPS workers they're recruiting are formerly people on welfare who were on Section 8 housing, who grew up under the social worker's thumb, might have even had their brother or sister taken, rationalized it, believe it's a good thing, and then now they're coming after your middle-class kids. See, when you hear them invoke the term racism, they're invoking true class warfare. That's what Jimmy Carter's doing. And the enforcers, the police and the social workers, they're being drawn from the ranks of the poor blacks, the poor whites, the poor Hispanics, and they're going to be given badges and uniforms and clipboards and stun guns and paddy wagons, and they are going to take over every facet of your life. I mean, I'm reading the Animal ID, Premises ID legislation, and it says that the new definition of a farm is any growing plants or vegetables or animals, or anyone with a warehouse. And it says they're going to force you to sign over premises ID, and it clearly states then that you are now a ward of the state and that the government holds your home in receivership. I mean, they're just taking over. And in the country, they're now hiring local bureaucrats and local environmentalists that come around and boss everybody around. And if people in the countryside give into this, it's over. You will be complete sharecropper slaves. And it's the same thing in the city. And they are turning loose the desperate, poor, money-grubbing people that will do anything for money. That's what big government is. And just the CPS racket, where they seize over 1 million children a year in the United States with no due process, and then hop them up on drugs to get more taxpayer money, that is 1,000 times worse or more than everything Acorn is doing. So it's just like how Kenneth Starr went after Bill Clinton for sex with Monica Lewinsky and lying about it, instead of missile secrets from Laura Allen Hughes being given to the communist Chinese. Because Bill Clinton was the only person that had sex with Monica Lewinsky and did disgusting things with cigars with her. Bill Clinton engaged in all these other crimes with the Republican and Democratic leadership. And so, see, he couldn't be burned over anything real, the hundreds and hundreds of different things he did. But he could be burned over sex with a woman. And it's the same kind of thing with Acorn. Acorn's a smaller, upstart criminal group. Definitely totally seedy, involved in every form of corruption known to man, instantly ready, your one-stop shop for criminal activity. That much is clear. I mean, it goes back to Resco and everybody else in Chicago and Obama with free houses and the guy he came up with in Chicago politics, Rod Blagojevich. And so you'll see Chicago corruption under the spotlight, and the government will just use that, and the black ops groups will just use that as more pressure on Obama to do what he's told, because he is a compromised pimp. He's a poverty pimp.